Ladies and gentlemen, I want to speak to you today about something that strikes deep into the heart of every man and woman who has ever walked through the valley of trouble and trial. There is a temptation that rises in us during hard times, a desire to reach out and pour out every burden, every sorrow, every heartache to anyone who will lend an ear. And while it is natural to seek comfort, I want to remind you, not every ear is meant to carry your sorrow, and not every heart can bear the weight of your burden. We are living in a world today that is full of noise. People talk about everything: what they ate for breakfast, what they fear, what they hate, what they wish for. But too many are speaking their pain to the wrong audience. Too many are spilling their problems in the wrong places. And in doing so, they are weakening their own souls. When you constantly rehearse your wounds before men, you give them power over your peace. It is not that your problems do not matter. They do. It is not that your struggles are insignificant. They are not, but your healing will never come from the approval of man. It will not come from sympathy that fades when the conversation ends. Your strength is not built by the applause of others, but by the silence where your character is forged, by the nights when no one sees your tears but God alone. Some people will listen to your problems just to gossip about them. Some will pretend to care while secretly delighting in your downfall, and some will try to fix you when all you needed was quiet understanding. That is why you must be careful where you cast your pearls. There are sacred things inside of you, sacred pain, sacred struggle, sacred healing, and it is not meant for the crowd. It is meant for the secret place. There is a difference between sharing a burden and surrendering it. Sharing a burden means you hand it over to one who is greater than you. Surrendering your burden means you stop trying to carry it in your own strength, but telling everyone your problems all the time in every place. That's not surrender. That's leakage, and when your soul starts leaking through your lips, you're losing strength instead of gaining it. Let me tell you something. There is power in restraint. There is power in taking your pain to your knees before you take it to the phone. There is power in trusting that the same one who formed the stars is the one who sees you in your lowest moment. And when you trust him, really trust him, you will find that you don't need to explain your storm to the world. You only need to walk through it with him. Now I know some of you may feel like you're going to explode if you don't speak. And yes, there is a time to talk. There is a time to open up. There is healing in confession. There is wisdom in counsel. And there is comfort in fellowship. But not every moment is that time. Not every person is that ear. You must learn to discern the difference between venting and healing. You must know when silence is strength. Don't let your voice become a trumpet of defeat. Let it become a weapon of praise. Even in the storm, even in the night, even in the middle of unanswered questions. Speak life, not just pain. Speak hope, not just wounds. The more you declare defeat, the more it digs its roots into your heart. But when you begin to declare victory, even before you see it, something begins to shift. Heaven takes notice. You were not created to be a victim of your emotions. You were made in the image of a God who carries galaxies in his hands, and he is not overwhelmed by your problems. So take them to him, tell him everything, cry if you must, be raw, be honest, but let your deepest conversations be with the one who can actually do something about it. Your story is not over. Your pain is not permanent. Your silence is not your weakness. It is your secret place of power. And when the time comes, when your scars have become signs of healing, when your wounds no longer bleed but shine like testimonies, then you will speak. Then your voice will carry weight, because it will be the voice of someone who has walked through the fire and emerged refined. So walk on quietly if you must. Cry out in secret. Let the fire forge you in silence. And when your day comes, speak, not from your pain, but from your victory. And while you walk that road in silence, remember this: The world does not need to see every step of your struggle to believe in your strength. In fact, sometimes the most powerful witness is the one who keeps moving forward without demanding attention. There is a kind of strength that doesn't shout, it doesn't seek validation, it doesn't beg for understanding. It simply endures with eyes lifted upward and a heart anchored in something deeper than emotion. People will ask you why you're so quiet, why you've changed, why you're not speaking the way you used to. Let them wonder, let them question, let your life be your answer. Let your discipline, your resilience, your peace speak louder than your complaints ever could. Because when you carry your problems to people who cannot solve them, you exchange your dignity for sympathy. But when you carry them in faith, trusting in a strength beyond your own, you become a living testimony to the fact that pain does not have to be loud to be real, and healing does not have to be public to be complete. We live in a culture where pain is marketed, where vulnerability is a performance, where every emotion becomes a post, and every breakdown is broadcasted for applause. But there is a higher calling than that. You were not made to be a spectacle. You were made to be sanctified, and that process doesn't happen on a stage. It happens in the secret place, in the unseen places where your soul is stretched, where your will is broken, where your pride is crucified, and where your faith is refined. Don't trade your growth for attention. Don't trade your process for pity. There is something holy about quiet suffering, not because pain is noble, but because faith in the dark is powerful. When you can't see the outcome, but you keep moving. When you don't understand the reason, but you keep trusting. When everything in you wants to scream for help, but you bow your head instead and whisper a prayer that no one hears. That is where the real battle is won. You don't need an audience to overcome. You don't need applause to keep standing. What you need is that quiet resolve inside your spirit that says, I will not be defined by my pain. I will not be consumed by my situation. I will rise, not because others believe in me, but because I believe in the one who called me, who sees me, who holds me. And when you do speak, let it not be to unload your despair, but to declare your hope. Speak with purpose, speak with faith. Speak when your voice becomes an instrument of restoration, not a channel of endless complaint. Your words have power. Your mouth is not just an outlet for emotion. It's a tool of creation. Don't let it become a sewer of sorrow. Let it be a river of life. The enemy would love nothing more than for you to speak defeat over your own life. He wants you to echo your fear, your shame, your hopelessness, until those echoes become the soundtrack of your existence. But you have a choice. You can choose silence over self-pity. You can choose stillness over chaos. You can choose to let your soul breathe in quiet confidence rather than scream for validation. Some of the most powerful people you will ever meet are not the loudest. They are not the ones constantly posting their pain or shouting their struggles. They are the ones who walk with quiet authority because they've been through the fire and chose not to let it burn away their dignity. They know where their help comes from. They know who their refuge is. And they've learned the art of silent strength. That kind of strength is not born in the spotlight. It is born in the furnace, in the lonely places, in the nights when sleep won't come and peace feels far away, in the days when everyone around you seems to have answers, but none of them reach the depth of your soul. It's in those places, those deep and sacred places, that you learn not to rely on the affirmation of man, but on the assurance of God. And when you walk out of that furnace, your walk changes. You no longer need to explain yourself. You no longer need to convince anyone of your worth. You simply live, breathe, and move with quiet assurance. And when people ask you how you made it through, you'll know the answer didn't come from telling the world your problems. It came from surrendering them to the one who held you all along. So be careful with your voice. Be wise with your vulnerability. Guard your heart, not with walls of bitterness, but with the shield of discernment. Not every ear is holy. Not every space is sacred. Some things are meant to be kept between you and the one who knows you better than anyone else ever could. There's a time to speak, and there's a time to be still. There's a time to cry out, and there's a time to endure. But above all, there is a time to trust. Trust that your silence is not empty. Trust that your restraint is not weakness. Trust that in the quiet places you are being shaped, strengthened, and prepared for something greater than your current pain. And while you continue in that quiet journey, don't let loneliness lie to you. Don't mistake the silence for abandonment. Don't confuse the lack of applause with a lack of progress. Some of the greatest growth happens in solitude. Some of the deepest healing takes place when nobody else is watching. You are not forgotten in the stillness. You are not overlooked in your silence. You are being molded. You are being strengthened. And you are being prepared for a greater purpose than you can see in this moment. There is something sacred about keeping your wounds between you and the one who truly understands. When you keep running to people to explain your pain, to justify your brokenness, to gain sympathy, you may feel temporary relief, but it's not healing. It's not restoration. True healing doesn't come from human affirmation. It comes from divine intervention, and that kind of intervention doesn't require a crowd. It requires a heart that is willing to surrender even when it doesn't make sense. You see, some people will misunderstand your silence. They'll say you're cold. They'll say you're distant, but they don't know the cost of your peace. They don't know the nights you spent on your knees asking for strength to keep going. They don't know the tears you've cried when no one else was around. They don't understand that your silence is not retreat. It's discipline, it's focus, it's trust. Sometimes the best thing you can do is close your mouth and open your heart. Close your mouth to the opinions, the noise, the doubt, and open your heart to the one who sees everything. When you constantly speak about your problems to people, you end up magnifying them. You feed them. You give them a throne in your life. But when you take your eyes off the problem and lift them to the hills, where your help comes from, everything changes. Your focus shifts. Your strength returns. Your faith is renewed. You were never meant to walk through fire with your mouth open in complaint. You were meant to walk through with your eyes fixed on the one who walks with you. And if you can keep your eyes on him, if you can keep your heart anchored in truth, you will find a strength rising up in you that no words can explain. You don't owe the world an explanation for your process. You don't have to put your pain on display to prove that you're growing. The fruit of your life will speak louder than your words ever could. Let your life bear witness to the work being done in the quiet. Let your actions be the evidence of the battles you've fought and won, not with noise, not with complaint, but with faith and perseverance. There's a reason diamonds are formed in the dark. There's a reason seeds grow beneath the soil. There's a reason transformation happens where eyes cannot see. It's because the deepest, most lasting changes do not begin with noise. They begin with pressure. They begin with time. They begin with surrender. And so often they begin in silence. Many of us are in too much of a hurry to be seen, too quick to be heard, too desperate to be understood. But sometimes the best thing you can do is step back, be still, and allow the process to work without interruption. There is a strength that is born when you learn to stand quietly in the storm. There is a maturity that comes when you no longer need to justify your pain or explain your struggle. You simply endure, knowing that the one who began the good work in you will be faithful to complete it. And when you do speak, because yes, there will be a time for that, let your words be seasoned with grace. Let them be shaped by patience. Let them reflect not just the weight of your journey, but the wisdom you've gained along the way. Speak not to gain sympathy, but to give hope. Speak not to expose your wounds, but to reveal your healing. There is a weight to your silence. There is a beauty in your restraint. Not everyone will understand it. That's all right. You're not living for the understanding of man, you're living for the approval of one whose opinion never changes, whose love never fails, and whose purpose will prevail. Your silence is not a weakness. It is a shield. It is a sanctuary. It is where your spirit is being refined and readied. So resist the urge to vent every frustration. Resist the temptation to explain every hardship. Resist the pull to make your pain the centerpiece of your story. Your story is not about the problem. It's about the purpose. And purpose takes time. It takes pressure. And often, it takes a season of sacred silence. Keep walking, even when no one claps. Keep praying, even when no one hears. Keep believing, even when no one understands. Because the one who matters most has never stopped watching, he has never stopped caring, and he has never left your side, not for one moment. So hold your peace, guard your heart, walk with quiet strength, and trust that your silence is not wasted. It is building something eternal, and while the silence stretches on and the road feels long, know this: silence is not a sign that nothing is happening. It is often the sound of something sacred being built within you. In the silence, pride is stripped away. In the silence, motives are purified. In the silence, you begin to see with spiritual eyes, to understand that not every burden is meant to be shared, and not every trial is meant to be explained. When you constantly talk about your pain, you keep it alive. You give it breath. You feed it with your attention. But when you take that same pain and lay it down in the place of prayer, it begins to die, and in its place, peace begins to rise. The kind of peace that cannot be explained, that makes no sense to the natural mind. A peace that doesn't come from having all the answers, but from knowing who holds them. You see, there is something powerful about learning how to be quiet in the fire. Not because you're suppressing your emotions, not because you're pretending everything is okay, but because you've learned to trust that even when your world is shaking, your foundation is firm. Even when people don't understand, God does. Even when friends walk away, He stays. Even when the words won't come, He hears the groaning of your heart. You don't need to keep telling your story to those who were never meant to be part of it. Some people were not called to walk with you through this valley. Some were only ever meant to stand at the edge and watch from a distance, and that's okay. Stop trying to pull people into places they were never anointed to occupy. If you force someone to carry your burden who was never built for it, they will drop it, and you. And then you'll be hurt twice, once by the weight of the burden and again by the betrayal of the one who couldn't carry it. But there is one who never fails, one who is closer than your breath, who doesn't grow weary, who doesn't get tired of your struggle. When you take your troubles to Him, you don't need to dress them up with fancy words or strong appearances. You can come as you are. You can be honest. You can be broken. You can be silent and still be understood. This world will tell you that vulnerability means sharing everything with everyone. But real strength knows the difference between being vulnerable and being exposed. Vulnerability is sacred. It's powerful. But it must be given to the right source, not the crowd, not the critic, not the casual acquaintance, but to the one who can actually hold your heart in his hands and not crush it. Some people will try to fix you. Others will judge you. Some may even use your honesty against you. That is why you must use wisdom. You must learn to protect the garden of your heart. Don't let just anyone walk through it with muddy feet. Don't allow someone to trample the progress you've made simply because you're desperate for someone to listen. God has never called you to be reckless with your soul. He has called you to be wise, to be discerning, to be still. There is a weight that comes with maturity, It is not always glamorous. It is not always loud. Often, it looks like tears falling silently in the night while you hold on to hope with trembling hands. It looks like smiling at someone when your heart is breaking, not out of hypocrisy, but out of grace. It looks like choosing not to respond to every insult, not to explain every detail, not to defend every decision, because you know who called you, and that's enough. Do not despise the quiet seasons. Do not despise the times when no one seems to notice the battles you're fighting. In those seasons, heaven is watching. Angels are standing guard. The fire around you may feel hot, but the one in the fire with you is greater. He's not asking you to prove yourself to the world. He's asking you to trust him in the hidden place. One day, the light will shine again. One day, your mouth will open not to complain, but to praise. One day, your testimony will be a balm to the broken, but don't rush the process. Don't try to speak before the healing is complete. Don't give away your story before the author has finished writing it. Let him finish his work in you, and when it's time, you will speak, not from the place of brokenness, but from the place of wholeness. Until then, let your silence speak. Let your restraint speak. Let your faith speak. The world doesn't need more noise. It needs more depth, and depth is born in silence. So walk quietly, endure faithfully, trust deeply, and hold fast to the truth that you are not forgotten, not forsaken, and not finished. Even in silence, you are being shaped for something greater than you can imagine, and as you continue to walk this narrow path, remember, it takes more strength to stay silent than to speak sometimes. It takes more courage to keep your heart steady when it would be easier to vent, easier to lash out, easier to pour your soul into every open ear. But you've come too far to give your peace away now. You've endured too much to trade your strength for sympathy. There is dignity in holding your tongue. There is grace in keeping your posture when life presses in on every side, not because you don't feel the weight, but because you've chosen to carry it differently. You've chosen to carry it in faith. You've chosen to trust that even when your story is too deep for words, the one who hears even the unspoken still understands you completely. Let others run to platform. Let them chase validation. You stay rooted, stay grounded, stay faithful in the quiet place, because the day is coming when the same silence that protected you will be the silence that prepared you. The same pain you carried in secret will be the very thing that sharpens your voice when it finally comes time to speak. Not a voice of complaint, but a voice of truth, strength, and purpose. So don't rush to be understood. Don't hurry to be heard. Let your silence do its work. Let it refine you, let it deepen you, and above all, let it be your offering. Your quiet surrender to the one who sees in secret and rewards in ways no man ever could. So hold your peace and let the silence do its holy work. You don't need the world to understand your pain, nor do you need to speak it into every ear. What you need is trust. Trust in the process, trust in the purpose, and trust in the one who walks with you through it all. Your silence is not weakness. It is wisdom. It is strength under control. It is faith anchored in something far greater than the fleeting comfort of sympathy. So walk on in quiet confidence, knowing that even in your stillness you are seen, you are heard, and you are being shaped for a purpose far beyond what you can see now. Let your life speak where your words cannot, and let your strength be revealed not in what you say, but in how you stand.